Hello and welcome to a Geeky Bit bonus. Today we'll be talking about my journey to upgrade my 6166 Macintosh to a G3 processor. And boy, you wouldn't believe the amount of failures I had to deal with along the way, including the card that I got stopped working. So you might be wondering, what in the world is a G3 PDS upgrade? Well, it is a G3 processor upgrade. There were several aftermarket processor accelerators for the 6100 line of Power Macintoshes, and they also work in the 7100 and the 8100, along with several Macintosh clones. So right here, I have the only evidence that this G3 PDS card ever worked. Unfortunately, it stopped working later, and I'll explain that. So here is what happened. I got the G3 PDS card in the mail, and I was so excited to get in my 6100. And I put it in, and I loaded the drivers, and it worked. It worked great. I took a screenshot. I then loaded up Duke Nukem, played it. Oh man, it was a fantastic experience. I was so excited. And then I looked over at my workstation for electronics, and I saw the capacitors for the 6100 that I was going to put in to replace the capacitors that looked like they were on their last leg. And I was like, well, you know, I have this card, I should put them in there. So one clean and recapped 6100 board later, I put everything back in the case. I put all of the stuff back together because, hey, it worked before, no reason why it wouldn't work after. All I did was replace capacitors, and it didn't start up. It took power, but the system wasn't doing anything other than displaying a green light saying, hey, look, I got power on the motherboard. And then I tried all kinds of things. Finally, I took out the G3 upgrade card, and then it started up, no problem. So it was like, I was so confused. I was like, the capacitors are in the right way, everything's working. What happened? And I didn't know for the longest time. In fact, when I was making this video, I was almost 100% certain I still wouldn't know. Well, it turns out there are a couple of ground pins that go to the PDS slot. Those ground pins had become damaged in that PDS slot and did not go to the G3 card. And somehow that caused the G3 card to short. And as you can see here, this is what it looks like, the card that was shorted. Now I know I said that I don't have any video of this G3 upgrade working, but through movie magic and the fact that I have more than one Macintosh, we're going to take a rough look at the before and after. So for the before, we're using my 6166 Macintosh, and as you can see here, we're playing Duke Nukem, and we're going to have it obviously at a lower resolution. Here we've got what we're setting it at, and then we're going to go ahead and run it like this to just give you an example of what it runs like. And now that you've seen some of the gameplay, let's jump it up to the resolution I know it was playing really well at on this Macintosh with the G3 upgrade card. And as you can see, it looks great and it's working fantastically. I'm just kidding, that's terrible, and it's practically a slideshow. Now let's take a look at the after. To simulate it, we're going to be using a 64/200 Performa or Power Mac. It depends on which kind you've got. I've got the Power Mac version. So now you might be going, well, don't you have some G3 computers? Of course I do, but most of those are in the 300 plus range, so it wouldn't be practical to demo those. This is the closest processor speed I have to that G3, as that G3 was a 217/210 megahertz speed. The facts are, the G3 210 megahertz card is still going to be faster than this 200 megahertz PowerPC, and that is because regardless of the architecture iteration of the PowerPCs just labeled PowerPC, they will not be as fast as a G3, G4, or G5. So I had to do a little trickery to make this work in a similar fashion to that G3 210 megahertz processor upgrade card. So here's what I did. I set the graphical settings to medium instead of high, and it is still running at the appropriate resolution, and man, it runs buttery smooth, just like that G3 210 megahertz upgrade card. So here are some of my thoughts about this. Well, I've wanted a G3 upgrade card for my 61 6100 for quite a while now, but they've always been a little more money than I've wanted to spend on them. Finally, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna splurge and get one. Well, as you can see, this is the text back and forth between somebody I found that was able to sell me one. But I had a lot of trouble before that getting one because, man, when I said there were a lot of failures around this, I mean it. It was not just the card that failed. So the first attempt I had was here on eBay, and it was one that was going to be right around $70 to $80. I'd been watching it. I was ready to put my bid in at the last moment, but unfortunately an emergency came up and I wasn't able to bid on it at the last moment. And I didn't have the foresight to throw a bid on it before the emergency itself came up. So next we go overseas to another auction site on Buyee. And on Buyee, I was going to get this card. I had put in a snipe bid. I was pretty confident that I was going to win it. And I woke up that morning, I saw that the auction had closed, and I was like, oh man, it's under the amount I put in, so I must have won it. And I was told my snipe bid failed, and it said it wasn't enough money. And the snipe bid was, as you can see, 8,000 yen, and the auction sold for 7,000 yen. So what's up? I contacted Buyee. They said, here's a coupon, sorry about that. So that made me so angry, which ultimately led to me talking to somebody on Discord. That person on Discord happened to have a G3 upgrade card they were willing to sell, and they also have a source for more than one, and because of that, they will also be selling me another one at a later time, so that I can definitely upgrade my 6100 again, and this time hopefully it'll be a little more permanent. Also, I have spent a ton of time working on that G3 card that broke, as it was just the processor that burnt out due to a short. I was able to take and repair the card itself minus the processor. I have secured a source for a replacement processor, and a later video will be me trying to repair said G3 upgrade card. With some effort and a little bit of luck, I'm hoping the video around fixing that G3 card will not end in failure like this video did. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, and if so, feel free to click that like button, and if you're not subscribed so already, feel free to do so, and if you'd like to get notifications of my future videos, click that bell button.